Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Producer's Loft. I'm actually in Denmark right now, believe it or not, and I'm here with, well, you have many names, but you're best known as Wavolizer. So yeah, this interview will be in English, but it will be subtitled as well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm happy to be in Denmark.
Yeah,
Such a nice place.
why? What are you doing here?
Yeah, just traveling around, having a look, visiting you, you know?
The most important thing, of course.
Of course, of course. Hey, you are mostly a hardcore act right now, among others, but you did start out as a hardstyle act once, many years ago. Why did you choose to go to hardcore, or how did that change happen?
Well, there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
One of them was that I actually always closed down the hardstyle parties anyway, and I my music was a bit too difficult for hardstyle at the time. I listened to more hardcore than hardstyle at the time, and I liked it better, and I looked up to a lot of guys at that time, and so it made sense.
Yeah.
To switch. Like hardstyle was what I fell in love with at the beginning at that time. Now it has evolved again, and we can get back to that. But yeah, it made sense, and I don't regret it at all. No. I'm still very happy with. Yeah. With
was it
that.
easy to switch like that, or?
No, it took me a while to get used to that.
Mm-hmm.
We were in discussions with the label and some of my colleagues at the time, and it's 4 years ago now already. But I think I quickly got used to the thought. I already actually wanted to make hardcore at the time. The idea was to make just something on the side, but then it hit me that it was better to just focus on it completely, and then leave hardstyle behind a bit.
So it's been 4 years now. Hardstyle has changed a lot in those 4 years.
Yeah.
Lots of people are experimenting, and you totally made a switch, but you see a hardstyle producer now don't make that switch, but just experiment in their style. What do you think about that?
I think it's really good.
Yeah.
I actually think hardstyle is doing a lot better than when I left.
Yeah.
Ironically. Yeah, I think I hear so much diversity in hardstyle now than back then. When I started making raw style, there was no raw style yet, and it was not that hard.
No.
Now it seems to really, you have Malice who pushes it like beyond raw or whatever, and you still have awesome melodic stuff, and you have softer stuff, and seems to be space. Of course, there still seems to be the split between these two scenes in a way, but I also see that a lot of raw style is being melodic now. So I think there has been a lot of changes, and it should keep evolving.
Yeah.
And I think hardstyle is doing really great from my point of view, at least. So.
And then what about hardcore? Because we also see the hardcore scene evolving a lot. What do you think about that?
Well, what is popular right now is, of course, the faster stuff. And I'm like, I get exhausted by hardcore that is too fast really quickly. I don't think hardcore is well, it can be both slow and fast to me.
Yeah.
And I like a DJ set that goes from slow to fast, or even down again, not just keeps pumping in fast tempo. So I'm not that big a fan of that, but I accept it. I think it's good that we have a change again. It should evolve, or if it stays the same, it will just die, I think.
Yeah.
So, and trends come and go, and that's fine. I think it's better to embrace it and not fight so much in the scene. Like, that will just not do anything good for it. I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, I want the sound from 5 years ago." Yeah, but that's what the people said 5 years ago as well. Yeah. Also in hardstyle and other styles, it's always a constant generation shift in a way. So.
Because when talking about slower sounds, you work with that a lot. You make industrial sounds, but they usually go slower than what you'd say a hardcore sound is.
Yeah, I once heard that a hardcore has to be at least 170 BPM. I'm like, no, fuck that. I make slower stuff, and I know a lot of great tracks that are slower than that from the Outside Agency, Mindstrees, Death Machine also did a few slower tracks. There's a lot of great industrial out there. Newer ones from Somniac one is also great. It's there's still like a scene for that, and I'm so happy that's the case, because it's what I want to do also. I do like to make a faster track once in a while, and I like to end my sets in a very fast BPM, but I like the progression, as I said before. So that's what I'm about. I feel there's room for more deepness, if you will. There's room for more elements the slower you go.
So because you don't only do industrial hardcore or hardcore, however you want to call it, but you also do projects like D00d and Chaos Collision. That's drum and bass.
Yes.
Yeah. How did that happen? Did you just want to do experiments, or? Yeah.
Well, first of all, the thing with Wavolizer is that I want it as like a hardcore act or hard-edged. I always want people to expect that it has something to do with hardcore now. Even though I make all sorts of diversity inside that box, I still like to have a box, a big box. So I realized when I made a lot of collaborations with Rick, also known as Geck-o, that I had this pressure on my shoulders, from myself mostly, that I needed to make them a bit hardcore. And I got a little tired of that. Like, often when you make tracks with him, we just want to go in whatever directions is possible. Instead of limiting myself to, okay, this has to work as a Wavolizer track as well. So that was sort of the reason why D00d became a thing. Also, I played at the first Funky Cat he did 2.5 years ago. It was a Wavolizer cross genre set, so that allowed me also to go in a lot of directions. And there I already started using the D00d name for a bootleg. That was not hardcore at all. And it became sort of this hidden project that nobody knew who was D00d. Then eventually this year I did an actual release on the Funky Cat as D00d. And the style is hard to describe. So if people ask me, okay, so what is D00d actually? I don't know, a mix of techno, house,
it's usually a lot slower as well.
I usually say it's a little slower than hardstyle. And I just like that to be my playground alias for mixing all these genres and making something exciting and different, with deep vibes and different indeed. And and with Chaos Collision that was also kind of the case, but that was more focused on drum and bass. I really wanted to pursue that because the past 3 years I really grew a lot of taste for drum and bass and really started enjoying it, and it was also so hard for me to make it, and I still think it is. So it will maybe take a while before I make another release. I did have one on Other Side Recordings, which is a really awesome drum bass label, so that was cool. a nice goal. But I want to do more of that eventually. But I just kind of thought that it made sense to have that as a different name as well, because different goal, different challenge.
So people also can know what to sort of expect when you're on a lineup and stuff. Because how do you even make time to do so much? Like
I don't. I think I just open my DAW, my digital audio workstation, and I make what I want to, and then feel, okay, this is going in a Wavolizer direction, this is going in a D00d direction, this is going whatever direction, and it just sort of makes sense to do that. Of course, maybe it's better to focus on one project. I hear that a lot now these days.
Yeah.
A lot of the old guys from, for example, Sartox. He used to have 10 aliases, right, back 15 years ago. Now he's only under that. That also makes sense when it's one style, but this is so many different styles that I need to spread it out a bit, and I guess I just try to balance it a little bit.
So you don't think I'm going to do this kind of style now? You just start something and you work it out, or?
It depends. I would say sometimes I do have a specific goal with it, that I feel that, hey, this should go in this direction. Yeah. It doesn't always. There's a lot of times where I think, okay, this should have this BPM, this should be in this key. Yeah. Then later I realized, okay, maybe we change that. Maybe it's better to change that. Yeah. And yeah, actually I think I do often have a goal with the track when I started it. When I make it into a track, because it's different to just make sounds and to have an idea for a track. Yeah. I like to separate that as well. I think that's healthy. I heard also that other people do that. Yeah. And I started doing that last year, like seriously. And that helped a lot, because when you then finally want to build a track, you have all your samples, your own samples. You just put them together, right? And they are your samples, so they haven't been used by 1,000 producers beforehand. Yeah. Like when you get all these sample packs. And I think that's a really good approach to producing. So I recommend that to everybody.
You heard it here.
Do that.
Yeah. So let's talk about production habits. Yes. The good and the bad. Tell me.
I probably have more bad ones than good ones, but I think a good habit is that I don't listen too loud when I produce. Okay, I know a lot of producers crank it up a notch a lot, and it's not good for your ears.
It isn't. No.
And I'm very protective with my ears, and always wearing good ear protection at the parties and all that. And so that's a good habit. A bad habit would be that I tend to, when I produce a track, I export it when I'm not done with it. Okay. And then I listen to it a bit, and then a few times too many.
Okay, so yeah.
So I get used to it. Yeah. And then when you want to change it or improve it, you can't, because you're so used to it. That's very dangerous. I heard from some old wise dude that you shouldn't listen to your track more than 50 times. Okay. Or you're so used to it that you get blind on your ears.
Yeah, you can't hear the mistakes anymore.
No, basically. Yeah. And then when you listen to something that sounds amazing and you go back, you can hear that your track is not good enough. Yeah. But you don't really know why. So I think that's a bit of a dangerous habit. Yeah. So I sometimes try to avoid that completely and just, okay, I want to finish the track in one day if I can. And so, that's quick. Yeah. I love doing that, but that requires that I can clear my schedule, right? Yeah. So either in the weekend or just when I have time off, and that doesn't happen so much. No. So when I can't do that, this is sort of a bad habit as well. I'm a bit demotivated to start on a track when I see, okay, well, got 2 hours. Should I start a track now? Nah, I want to finish it. Yeah. So that's sort of a bad habit.
It's also because of the time pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Then I really want to just power on and get it mostly done. So, but I should improve on that. I will improve on that. It's good to be self-reflecting.
Self-reflecting. So
yeah. Self-reflecting.
So you also master tracks for other people.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to know why, and what's positive about it for you and others.
Yeah. Well, first of all, mastering is these days about getting it to sound as good as possible. Yeah. On all devices in any scenario.
So basically, the track is pretty much done. You just make it sound good on everything.
Yeah, that's the ideal, to make it transparent in a way, to make it. That's I think it's important to have other people do your mastering if you can. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who don't do that these days. Sometimes myself as well, because it's not a priority anymore so much as DIY, do it yourself. You have to be your own marketing manager, you have to do everything yourself, make videos, all that stuff. So of course it makes sense that mastering has become a part of that. But I think that it's very healthy for your tracks to be mastered by others, because you get like new point of, I want to say eyes, but if ears, of course, on the track, and that person, in this case me, can then improve that, hopefully. Sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes you have to tell the artist, okay, maybe you gotta adjust something there and here, and I do that as well, and I love that. I like helping and working with other producers. It's a great way to have a nice relationship. I try to make it, personal and not just be some business guy saying, okay, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. No, I try to give my opinion, and if they don't agree, that's fine. It's the most important thing is that they are happy with the track, and that's why I do it. I have mastered hardstyle and weird psychedelic live band and ambient music, and all of that has different style aesthetics that you also need to get used to, and so but I think all in all mastering is important, and you should all ask me to master your tracks. Send me all your money.
Give them something to do. Talking about all these different genres and styles, would you recommend other producers to experiment with that? Just go out of their small box, maybe a bigger box? Yeah.
Most certainly. I think you get sort of burned out if you only stay in one camp. That's my opinion, of course, but I have seen it a bit with producers making a lot of hardstyle, especially. And then 3 years after, they don't feel like making hardstyle anymore. And I think often that is related to them being too much focused on that one style. It's healthy to mix, blend in. I know a lot of guys do that. And I really recommend it because you will get new ideas. You will improve your taste, maybe. You will, at least you will widen your horizon, right? Also as an audience, actually. I think it's really good if you listen to a lot of different styles, so you don't sort of get burned out with the style, get tired of it, because you will, if you listen to 20 hardcore tracks in a row every day, you will really see the magic is kind of gone then. Like it's so good to come back to something. Oh yeah, that's why I love it. Oh yeah, this is good. Oh yeah, like have that sort of mentality is healthy, I would say. So I can definitely recommend that. So have
an open mind to other styles. And the hardcore scene is growing a lot right now, not only in different styles, genres, and experimenting, also new young producers. Do you think that has an influence on you, or?
Yeah, I mean it's not really something I worry about.
No.
When I see a new artist, I'm like, okay, I should check this out.
Yeah.
Is it something for me? Cool. I want to contact the person.
Yeah.
If it's not something for me, then okay, I'll leave it. And I check, okay, is this going somewhere? Is it? Do I see the artist evolve?
Yeah.
Or not? And often I see the artist evolve, and I love that. So I like getting in touch with, especially new people in hardcore, because that doesn't happen so often. That there are new hardcore people making exactly the kind of hardcore that I love.
Yeah.
Of course, because it's not that popular right now.
No.
But I mean, still, I like seeing what other people do. It's not a competition for me.
No.
I think like Sefa, for example, I admire him a lot. The style is totally not my style.
No.
But I think it's great what he's doing, and got a lot of respect for it, and really see a future there.
Yeah. So it has more of a positive influence on you to get inspired and maybe collab and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, sure, there's also stuff that I sometimes, especially if I'm in a not the best mood, and I can open this, I'm like, holy shit, that's bad.
Yeah,
Of course, I have that.
Yeah.
I won't deny that, but I tend to ignore it.
Yeah.
Like, just focus on what I like, make the hardcore I like, or the music in general. I like being in contact with those that I like, and luckily a lot of artists also like me. Very blessed with that, and we have a great small community. And
yeah, you definitely like to collab with other people and work together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about the Funky Cat, because I have to admit I know you because of the Funky Cat, and of course I was there last week. How did the Funky Cat happen for you? Because you've known Rick for a long time now.
Yeah, almost 10 years. I think.
From Terror Chords probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back when we both did our weird dark hardstyle music.
Yeah.
Yeah, we stayed in touch for so long and became best buddies. So it was kind of natural that I would end up playing at his party.
Yeah.
I played at the first edition, and it was a nice cross-genre set, not just hardcore, because that's the whole concept, right? The Funky Cat is about change. It's about different styles, weird experience, deep experience, and I was really, really into that from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I think it was just natural for me to be there and also return again, and yeah, really, it also helped me. Yeah. It really gave me a lot of inspiration for music and style changes and possibilities, and seeing this great open-minded crowd at the Funky Cat. The energy they gave you. I mean, usually there is still a lot of energy going on, but this was very different.
Funky Cat is special. Yeah.
Funky Cat is very special. Yeah. So everybody go to Funky Cat.
Yeah,
next
definitely.
time.
Yeah.
Number 9 next year. I don't know the date.
Number 9. Yeah. Number 9 already.
Yeah, I think so. This was 8, right? This was 8.
Yeah.
In a new location and everything.
But it's growing. Yeah, I'm sort of proud. It's just it's an amazing concept, and I think especially for people who like it a bit different, it's an amazing experience. So you fit right in there. Yeah. So we're talking about Funky Cat, but you are part of the third movement. Yeah, yeah. How did that happen? Because that happened when you switched from hardstyle to hardcore, obviously. Yeah. Tell me more.
That was part of the switch back then.
Okay.
We approached the third movement. I sent them 3 tracks, and luckily Sebastian, DJ Promo, really liked them and saw, hey, this is something unusual. This is something we can work with. It's not every day that a hardstyle artist switches to hardcore. No. Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
So yeah, he saw potential and helped me a little bit, improve it a bit.
Yeah.
Because I think at the time my sound was still a little unpolished, a little soft. So he helped me push it a bit more hardcore. So it made sense also for me to join the third movement, because it was the hardcore platform for what I wanted to make.
Yeah.
I wanted to make mostly dark stuff, but also sort of accessible stuff, and the third movement is very much in that state also now, that it's a bit mainstream but also a bit underground, and still has a lot of that fuck off attitude that I also kind of like.
Yeah.
Although I'm a peace fella. But
yeah.
No, I think it was definitely the best fit for me. So I'm very happy that I could join that. Been with them almost 4 years now as well. It was straight from the switch, and yeah, we have a great relationship with the third movement. All the artists are so nice. We talk a lot in WhatsApp group chat or when we see each other at the parties. Hey,
so nice.
Awesome! Yeah, lots of, and it's very global. Also, we got the producers in the UK and Belgium and Spain, and me in Denmark, and yeah, it's just it's the best label.
Yeah. So you get a lot of support from your fellow artists. It must be really nice. Do you also work together with them a lot?
Not as much as I would like to.
Yeah.
For the album I did collaboration with Mindustries.
Yeah.
I did one time attend collab with Penta, but that didn't go anywhere. We should try a new one eventually.
Yeah.
And I think I want to make more tracks with people, but I think because I'm in Denmark, that limits me a little bit. You can do tracks together over the internet, but it's not as much fun as when you just sit together. There's a magic there.
Yeah.
There's like, okay, so what should we do? Okay, you do this. Okay, oh, that's funny. I like that. You are in the zone. While if you do it over the internet, it's like, okay, so you start something, you send it to the other guy. If he likes it, he can continue it, but change it, and then it goes back and forth. And that can work. I did it for the album with 3 of the tracks.
Yeah.
It worked fine. The tracks were very awesome, but it's a lot more fun to be in studio. So maybe I should travel to artists some more.
You should, yeah.
I think that's perhaps a future goal.
Good excuse to travel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So talking about the album, it's been out for more than a year now, if I'm right. Yeah. Are you planning on doing another album, or are you like, this is just it, or?
Well, like I would really love to,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not really doable right now.
No.
It takes so much time to make that one. Took more than a year, I think, and in these days you have to be active all the time, right? So you would also have to put out singles along the way to stay active, or people will think that you're just gone.
Yeah.
Unless you announce it.
Yeah.
But then still people expect a lot. And say, okay, I'm making an album, see you in a year. That's also not so good.
No.
So right now I don't have any plans for albums, but maybe in the future.
Yeah.
I would love to make a dude album. That might happen eventually when time is right. Also got some other projects pending, but we'll see what happens. So for now, I'll just do a lot of nice, different styles.
Yeah.
Really
Okay, I'm very curious. So what about your future plans? We're going into indoor season right now. Parties, things coming out.
There are something coming in the winter that I can't announce yet. But yeah, that will be fun if it goes through. I think it will.
Okay, let's hope.
But other than that, indoor season is usually a little more quiet for me. So booking wise, it's a little low at the moment because of whatever reasons, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, new tracks. I did just a new Wavolizer EP last month.
Yeah.
I did a new Dude.
Yeah.
I did a Wavolizer remix of old DJ Promo just this week. Yeah, this week. No, that would be last week when you post this.
Yeah.
So last week.
Yeah.
So I don't have any plans right now for new stuff. I have 2 remixes that come out whenever. That's not part of what I know.
Yeah.
And then I have a lot of ideas in my head. I have an idea for a whole new Wavolizer EP, the theme for it, and I want to make a lot of new Dude stuff, and I want to improve on the drum and bass and make new drum and bass. But when I don't know when this happens. When I have the time for it, and then
So just a little bit back into the Denmark and Dutch thing. Do you ever think about moving to the Netherlands because of this reason?
I considered it a lot in the past, and I just realized it's not really what I wanted to do. No. Like my life is here, my family is here, my friends are here, but I do have a lot of Dutch friends as well. So it's still kind of pulling in me. I mean, it might happen that I would move there just for a little period of time, maybe to see what if it could change something. That would be nice. I have considered it, but I'm also not this very young adventurous guy anymore who just goes out, and I'm very much a comfort guy.
Yeah.
Feel good here, got a great studio here, and know what I want to do, but the future is,
it's open.
It's very open.
Yeah.
So
you never know.
No, I never know. So we'll see.
Okay. I'm very curious about your studio.
Yes. Should we have a look?
Shall we have a look? Shall we have a look? Yeah, that's up to you. Yes.
We can do that.
Let's do this. So, can you first tell us what are we going to see today?
Well, I will show you an exclusive track.
Oh, damn.
Unreleased tune. It's my DEFCON Silver VIP of a Dude track, actually.
Yeah.
So, it's basically a hardcore remix of a Dude track.
Of a Dude track, yeah.
That is not released. I got a few requests for it, but we'll see what happens with it. I don't know. But,
Okay.
but let's first listen to.
Let's get into it.
Get into the track. Let's listen to some parts.
Blast from the past. Recognize my voice? Boy. Well, you know things are bad when you're calling old girlfriends from the bathroom floor in the middle of the night, huh? How are you still in my brain? In my brain. Do you miss me? I miss you. In my brain.
And yeah, then it goes to the breakdown, and we can listen to that later.
Yeah.
If we look into what is happening here.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it was. I basically took the original dude track and then cranked up the BPM and was like, okay, distort these kicks, change the bit, make the climax a bit more industrial, and also it's pretty much the old track, just a bit faster. And what I did with this track was also to have these kind of neuro-funk-ish sounds, and I got this whole thing. You see these automations. It's basically a serum instant here that is being modulated. Let's see. Oh, I think I'm doing it here. Oh yeah, I do it in here. Yeah, I do it in Patcher. This is Patcher, where you can do all sorts of stuff, and I basically just mess around with a lot of parameters and get the sound. If you don't have these on, it just sounds like very static, very nothing. Oh well, it's fun, but by enabling these, you get it's fun stuff. This track was originally inspired by my schoolmate, who is very classical, and one time he played the piano and did this whole tone scale is the name, and that's why this pattern right here is called whole tone notes, because that's what it's about. It's this kind of mysterious spacey scale that just sounds funny. So that's actually where it began. So I started with that, and then I don't remember where it got into. But yeah, and then this this vocal.
How are you still in my brain?
From a TV show. I won't reveal what it is because then they will sue me. No, it's just a fun kind of psychedelic-ish vocal that just fits with the whole feel. And then I pushed it beyond. It had to sound over the top with these kicks, like very, very crunchy, very And the way I've done them in this track is, let's see, I have first the actual punch, and apparently a lot of reverb. Let's see, I have a punch here that I sent to a reverb that I then, let's see, I do pre-delay. I have LFO tool here, so it becomes this tail element, and by adding extra ducking, it gets chopped off, so you still have the impact, but you want that room sound. Or I want that.
You
room.
want.
And then we have the tail of it, and that's pretty straightforward. I wonder how I did it with this one. I usually do a lot of kicks, just as I mentioned, part of making the sounds.
Yeah.
So I had these, and then I keep tweaking them and distorting and all this kind of weird stuff, and you get this, and then I have added this, I think. Yeah. And it changes, I think, to a different channel also. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff just spontaneously. It's not always that it makes sense, and I like that. Because that feels the best. I don't want to stop up, and I have sorted it sort of in this project nicely, but yeah. Actually, this project is a little older also. I have a template nowadays that is a bit different, but what I do here is I have a sidechain channel, and I send everything I want to dock through there. And docking means that you have, let's see if we can show that. You get this sort of sound, and if you disable, so it feels like it's pumping that way. It gives it energy, it gives it drive. So I love doing that with a lot of elements. It can also be too much, of course. But it's about finding the balance for it to sound pumping, but not like it. You don't want it to be under too much. You don't want it to be. It should be upfront. This music is very upfront, right? Yeah. So that's what I sort of wanted to do, and do with this approach. What else is interesting to look at? The snares, maybe. I love putting these snares in. I know some people have complained to me that, hey, you use too many of these these tonal snares, but I love tuning them to the track. It just adds something awesome. Maybe it has become my signature sound. Yeah. I don't know. So yeah, the breakdown.
Brain. In my brain. I don't know what I'm doing. In my brain. How are you still in my brain? I don't know what I'm doing.
And then basically just outro, right? Yeah, that is to me weird kind of sound that we got going on here, but I loved it. I wonder what I did. I think it was originally a more softer sound in the original track. Yeah. And then let's see what I did. I did this. Extreme EQing is always fun. And then LFO tool doing lots of weird stuff. crushing it a bit, distorting more, cutting the low end, and this is just for whatever. I love to put wave shaper on almost all my channels. To crank it up, it's good to be loud. Loud wins still this year as well. Not much to it. What is the sound made? It's Harmor. Yeah, Harmor is FL Studio's native plugin thing.
Okay.
Looks really weird for many, but you got all these nice options for twisting and just making different sounds. Let's see if we disable this and. There's so many options. Lots of let's see, what do we have here? Local EQ is also fun to mess with. It's a really great synth that just has a very different approach compared to the normal synths, for those who are interested in that stuff, of course. But it's yeah, I love using Serum, I love using Spire, I love using Hammer, and sometimes just this for white noise. White noise is a nice trick to make something sound more big or louder, or just adding what is missing. Because if you blend it in like this, like you can barely hear it, but it's just there to give it that extra boost in sound. It's basically something that got famous in EDM, I think, like 7 years ago, where they used it maybe a bit much. This is more subtle. I like it. I like it more subtle with white noise. What else do we have? We have this sleet. And that's just what is? Why does it do that? Stupid FL sometimes. Yeah, organ sound, I think. Yeah, and another hammer. Fun stuff. Not much to say about it. Just I think it was based also on that whole tone scale I mentioned before. Although I do something that is not on scale because fuck the rules. Yeah, what else? What else? I don't know what is interesting. These are just copied from earlier, even though they don't really. Oh yeah, they do, of course. In relation to that sound. Where is that? Yeah. But this I could just actually just do this. But laziness. But yeah, a little about why I use FL. I have been using FL Studio for 14 years, 12 years. Yeah. And it just stuck with me. I have tried Ableton Studio. Ableton Live is the name. And I think that's really great. But I never got the hang of getting into it. I know all the shortcuts for this.
Yeah, you're just used to it.
It just goes a lot faster. It has its hiccups, of course. There are certain things that I really want them to fix. Like when I do the ducking this way, sometimes it happens too soon because of latency issues and stuff like that. But I hope they will fix that. That's a lot of technical talk.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. But what else is interesting to talk about? It's very basic track actually. Yeah. Not too many elements.
So how many tracks does it have? Like,
if you these are not actual tracks. In FL you can just put them.
Yeah, you can just move them.
So it's more in the mixer. Okay. I think they call them inserts now.
Okay.
So I think I use up to 35 inserts. Yeah. Not too bad. I have a habit of getting up to 15 these days. Yeah. Mostly because I like to put just a small element on each own channel, even though that fills it up completely and you sometimes lose oversight. But I want the control. I need the control to be able to tweak the sound. Yeah. And that's the best way to do it. I discuss this a lot with Rick. When I make a track with Rick, he has this old tendency to put some of the elements on the same channel, and then when I want to tweak it, I accidentally mess up the other sound.
Yeah.
And I tell him every time that don't do that. It will fuck up. It will fuck me up. And I'm right. But of course, when you want to sketch something, it's a lot faster to do that, and you have great overview. So I understand why he do that.
Yeah, preference. Also.
Preference, of course. Yeah. He's also very much not naming or labeling any of his. You saw that. Yeah. And I'm like, I need to see what is going on. Yeah. I can't remember. No.
you need to control.
Yeah, I also love colors now. Yeah. Like, this is nice.
Yeah.
Colorful.
It looks cute.
Yeah. So although I don't really, I usually put my cakes in red color, but I don't really have a color palette for the rest. It's just mostly random.
It looks nice.
But it's a nice way to get some system, because FL Studio allows you to make a track in 10 different ways, and that's great.
Yeah.
But it also means you can easily mess up the whole structure. Yeah. You can easily, when you make a track with somebody, they think they don't understand what you did because you have a completely different setup. That's the downside. Yeah. Where in Ableton, you just have what you have: the playlist, the browser, the what's it called at the bottom, the stuff, all the synthesizers, and that's the layout. Here you can mess it up so much. You can drag and do all sort of weird.
So you have both more freedom as well as more chance to
to mess it up.
Yeah.
So that's FL Studio in a nutshell. So
okay, I want to thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank you for having us. So much fun to see your little studio. I love it, and it just looks great. If you like this, go give him a follow. I'll link everything below, and of course, subscribe to my channel for more episodes of the Produce Loft, more vlogs, etc. And I'll see you next time. Give it a like, give Wavolizer a follow, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.